Hey, what's up, guys? This is Brian at Whisper Status 74. Welcome to the community. Welcome to the channel. If this is the first time you're seeing me, please consider liking and subscribing. This is another comparison of the LG CX at 55 inches on the right, an OLED versus the Sony X950H on the left. The CX and the Sony have gone toe-to-toe, but I want to show you here is some motion. LG, as well as any OLEDs, are panned for judder and motion issues. I'll show you that has been fixed with these new displays, and they're very similar to the judder you see on LEDs without motion. I can show you how you can fix and clean them both up. Now, before I start this video, this is the Spears and Munsil disc. Please consider picking it up. There's a link in the description. Support their work, as a lot of us use these calibration discs. And a special thank you to Value Electronics for extended review of the Sony X950H. Please consider making your next AV purchase through them. Let's start the test. What you're going to see on the XXX parade is a bunch of jalapeno peppers going across the screen. I'm going to say this several times throughout the video. This is not a local dimming test. There's no way for the LED to do well in this test, which is why it's not a local dimming test or a backlight test. What we're looking for here is judder. Now you can see both of them have settings. Their motion settings are disabled. Show you that now, that both motion settings are off. Now the aperture is lowered all the way. That is helping the Sony with the blooming. Again, it's not a blooming test, but I want to be able to show you that both motions are off before we continue. Now with the aperture all the way lowered, you can see that the display still blooms. It actually blooms more in person with the aperture. I'm sorry, in person, this is with the aperture back to normal. It doesn't bloom nearly as bad as that, but it does wreak havoc on the camera. So we are going to lower the aperture back down. That way it's not as distracting. And you can actually see the text on camera. Again, not a local dimming test. But I'm going to show you here that the judder with both motion settings off is pretty similar, considering that OLEDs are annihilated for their terrible judder and problems they have. This is not a 60 FPS test, which is why it's not filmed in that, but it can show you how we can smooth the image out. Now, I'll let you know that with the Sony, as we're going to fix that one first, they're known for their excellent motion. As we head down to motion, I don't like how the motion has been simplified in the new Sonys. I've talked about that before. Now we disable it completely. You can see that the judder is there as much as the LG. They have custom and auto. That's it. We're going to go into, you can see auto doesn't do much to smooth it out. You can see that there's flickering. Go down to custom. Now they got rid of true cinema, smoothness, all those other, ways of fixing it. As you go up, smoothness, it does smooth it out a little bit, but not all the way. You still have noticeable judder. Show you that here. We'll stay on the Sony. Black frame insertion does help it, but not all the way. It does darken the image. I will tell you on the Sony A8H, what they have changed versus the A9G is the clearness only knocks it down 1 nit, which is amazing. We're not going to use clearness, but you can see what clearness does here. It does darken it quite a bit. Clearness on the LG doesn't darken it at all, which is great for both the LG CX and the new A8H. What you need to really engage here is Cinemotion, which again only has auto. You guys want to know what Cinemotion does? There you go. Now on the older displays, you were able to adjust that. Okay, so that's running completely smooth now. A lot of you guys don't use these features, but there it is. Now over to the LG. See how much smoother that is. We're going to get these running in sync. But the judder on the LG is not nearly as bad as it has been in the past. Here are the LG settings. You have true motion. Now these have, there's clear there. You can enhance this in the custom settings. Natural does help quite a bit, but look at smooth. Boom. Now there's also user, where you can really tweak it, de-blur it. There's a lot you can do with it, but it doesn't change the brightness of the image. But look how quickly smooth does fix it. So all this talk of LG OLEDs having this horrible motion that you cannot fix. Now, granted, none of us really use motion interpolation to that degree. But to say it can't be rectified in settings is a misnomer. But to also say that the LED doesn't have judder at all, with the motion settings off, you saw they had equal judder. So a lot of this talk of the weaknesses of both can be old. It can be from years ago, yet people still hold on to that. Again, I'll say it again, this is not a LED backlight test. Going back into the Sony, disabling motion. Cinemotion is important now, more important than it used to be. There's the judder back. Auto cleans it right up. There's only one function of it. Going back into the motion settings, again, they removed all of Cinemotion Pro, True Motion, Cinema. They had all these different cool settings here. Again, clear darkens the image quite a bit, but disabling motion altogether. Don't forget to disable Cinemotion, and that is the native motion there. There is judder there. Now back to both motion settings off, you can see they have equal judder. Neither is much smoother than the other. But it does kind of get rid of that thought that LEDs just out of the box without motion settings enable blow away OLEDs. A lot of you are not considering OLEDs due to this judder you're going to see in films. You can smooth it out, and again, like the Sony used to have, the LG does give you a bunch of different options that can help smooth out the image, which I will show you in a second. Pause it, get you there. It does give you these options: off, clear, natural, smooth. There are more than one setting. Now for comparison, you look at the Sony X950H, and you can see the motion settings that were back here. You had off, smooth, standard, clear, which is black frame insertion, true cinema, and then you had your custom tab. And then even here on Cinemotion, you had your medium, low, and off. But you had more functionality. I don't love the simplification of the new settings. The Sony AAH is better with black frame insertion. It doesn't lower it much. And also you can see, but the settings are the same here with all the new models where it is simplified. I don't like taking away those options. All right, guys, we'll wrap up with the AK demo just running in the background. But what I wanted to say is, keep in mind, I know we have a clear delineation in the community between OLED and LED, and I get that. It's not really necessary in terms of hating either one. Remember, it's not what display is best. It's what display is best for you. We're going to have a discussion on which I prefer and why. I can't really show you movie footage. I'm going to break one down to show you some movie footage, but showing you the motion is kind of where people hold on to things they hear from 3 or 4 years ago. Same with burn-in. We're going to talk about that as well in an upcoming video. Is what people hear then sticks with them. So it's not about which is best. It's which is best for you. And this was a quick motion interpolation video to show you how you can clean up the motion. This will probably cut me off, as it does when filming in this with HDR and filming in this resolution, but they are both amazing. But I wanted to show you that there is judder on both, and it can be fixed on both. I don't love how the Sony display's motion has been simplified, but I'm sure the engineers have reasoning for that. I don't love it, but I want to show you how the LG CX can also mitigate that motion. All right, guys, thank you as always. See you in the comments. Take care.